So I am very excited today because we are featuring people that we feel like are a part of the rebuild of Black Wall Street. And Black Wall Street is being rebuilt not just with businesses, but with the community in mind. So how do we get the community engaged, and how do we honestly save the streets? So today's guest is the founder of My Black, My City, My Hood, Mr. Jahmal Cole, who's been doing some amazing work throughout the city for years now. I love the way that he brings people together more than anything, from all communities, all aspects, and just really shines a light on the youth. So without further ado, we will enter Mr. Jahmal Cole from My Block, My City, My Hood.
Hey, thank you for having me. How you doing today?
I am doing amazing. I appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule. I know there's a lot going on right now, but excited just to have you on the show.
Hey, well, thank you for having me. The voice of the shy. Listen, all I do is listen to people. There's a lot of voices, and I want to help. So I'm glad to be on the show, and thank you for allowing us to amplify our platform. Thank you.
Yes, yes. I was just telling you that I am truly a fan of what you do. More than anything, I love the way that you unify people. So you have different people from different communities that come out. I mean, they putting up lights around the city. They're feeding the community. They're passing out hand sanitizer. So I want to talk about one. Let's talk about a little bit of the vision and how you got started with it, and then talk about what's different. Like, how are you able to unify people when people often aren't?
You know, I think I didn't grow up in Chicago, right? And so, like, I didn't grow up here, and I'm a volunteer, so I started volunteering at Cook County Jail. And one of the things I just realized is that people was like, "Where are you from?" My block is 21st Street, or my hood is the low end. And I was just like, "Whoa, why do you say it like that? Why don't you say my city?" And that's when people were like, "Ain't no black people downtown, or ain't no black people in that." I was like, "Oh, like Chicagoans are really, really parochial, and they take pride in their neighborhood." And so I wanted to travel to all 77 community areas, and I mean, listen, I wanted the communities to be my classrooms. And so when I went to Pilsen, I learned about the housing issues and how they were marginalized in Pilsen. When I went to Chatham, I realized that, hey man, this is like Cosby land. We known for our manicured lawns, brick bungalows, and block clubs. When I went to Uptown, I learned this is like in Rogers Park, one of the most diverse communities in the world, right? And so you could travel the world without leaving Chicago. And so I'm just an explorer, and I just want to help people. And that's how I did it, man. I was really naive, but at the same time, I don't care what color, gender, religion, opinion, ethnicity, occupation. I don't care. Whatever you are, I want to help out. And I think I want to just flip the switch on Chicago being the most diverse city in the country, you know.
Yes, and we're the most divided, and we have to change that. So tell us a little bit about the vision. When did you get started, and what is the actual mission for My Block, My City, My Hood?
Yeah, so we got started in 2010. We incorporated in 2015. But what we do is we take care of people no matter what. Like most nonprofits or social impact organizations have programs. We don't. Our best asset is our agility. We create programs based upon society's needs. So if there's a snowstorm, we'll shovel snow for seniors. If there's a heat wave, you'll just see us delivering waters and delivering fans directly to seniors. During COVID-19, over 8,000 seniors have reached out to us from 12 different states. And so we connected them to primary healthcare physicians. We did contact tracing with them. We shipped them food, PPE, hand sanitizer, disinfectant, spray gloves. And as of 2020, ain't enough going on. All the looting happened on the south side and the west side. And my community, Chatham, got turned into a food desert, basically. We were already struggling because of COVID, but now we got to go 20 minutes away to get a pharmacy, or 20 minutes away to get an egg. So we started a small business relief fund in response to the looting, and we raised $1 million to distribute to small businesses. So I say that to say, like, we keep our ear to the streets and figure out how we can help out. And we start at the block level with the block clubs. We work with over 71 block clubs all around Chicago, and we help them advocate for, just a better quality of life on their block.
Jahmal, I'm gonna be honest. I meet a lot of people, but you are getting me fired up. I want to say, Jahmal, for president. I mean, you were able to raise $1 million for small businesses.
We did, and the highest donation was $69 from all around the country.
The highest donation. Wow.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about that. The incremental.
Okay.
So the small incrementals, like you said, because it's really about the masses. So not one person has to do that heavy lifting.
Yeah, you just have to. If you do what you love to do, like, you organically start to build relationships with people that'll help you become successful. And you just gotta, that faith, man. Like this is a faith walk. And the road is so narrow you can't turn around at times. I tell people that all the time. But hey, the way to make anything pop is to you do more than expected to make a positive investment in your future. You do more than expect. When I make hoodies, our hoodies are all stitched. When you get it, it's a little bit more than expected. And that makes people share it, right? That makes people say, I want to share this. When we show up on your block to help out, we don't just show up and say, oh, let's do the least. We do more than expected. All block club captains get laptops. We help out with their block club parties. We help clean their alleys. We do more than expected. And that creates like, that's the investment right there. So.
I love it. I mean, that's the same for entrepreneurship. So when I started my business with WDB, like you said, we do more than what's expected. We try to exceed the expectation. I don't think that you can get into anything and do just enough, right? You know, everybody talk about what's unique about their marketing is really the work. And that's honestly how I built my business. It was based on the work itself. It wasn't really a fancy, even though we're a marketing company, but it wasn't a fancy marketing campaign. And the reason why I fell in love with what you were doing was because I saw the work. And it's interesting that you're not from Chicago. So you were able to see it from the outside and see some of the challenges that we had. And like you didn't have that, you know, I'm from Roseland, I'm from Roseland, or, you know, I'm from Harvard, you know, I'm from these different places, and we separate ourselves when we're so much stronger, united, and powerful together.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I fell in love with Chicago, but you're 100% right. I was able to see things like, to me, it's not regular that there's 15 currency exchanges in the neighborhood and no banks. Right? If I ask a kid what's a job at a bank, they don't know. Like it's not regular to have to order your breakfast every morning through bulletproof glass windows. You gotta, hey, I want the Doritos, the spicy nacho. That's not regular. I talked to a kid, you know, I know kids that are in 9th grade and been to 15 funerals. Like that's not regular. Like, it's not regular to there's more technology in the light poles and in the classrooms in the community. That's not regular. So I was able, because I grew up in Waukegan. When I moved to Chicago, I was able to look at things and say, hey, you know, this ain't right. This ain't regular. Let me do something about it. And a lot of, I mean, that's a fresh perspective on things. So,
and it has to be a part of the solution. You don't know how I started my company, but I started my business in 2005 after my brother was killed. So he was killed in November 2004. Knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And he had this promotion company called What's the Business. And my brother was just such a powerful force in my life. He was only 28 years old. I knew I had to do something in his honor. And like, you know, but I focused on a solution. There was nothing I could do to bring my brother back. It was nothing that I could do, but I could keep his vision alive. And I knew I had something special to do, but I mean, we work with over 5,000 businesses. You know, we host major events. We give back $10,000 to entrepreneurs and different things like that. But it all started because I took the tragedy and I saw the issue, and I just tried to shine a light and do something positive. That's the whole reason for this publication. It's the reason why I'm having you on. We're not going to talk about how many people died. We're going to talk about what we can do to change that and what we can do to focus and do something different.
What's your brother's name?
His name was Bob Barber. Bobby Barber. I actually just shared something recently because 9 months after my brother got killed, my cousin Silk got killed. And he was there with my brother when we were trying to find out what happened with my brother. 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks ago, we didn't have his son. He got killed. Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that this is not normal, because that's literally what I posted. You know, my brother was an amazing person. He was a hustler, of course, but he was an amazing person. He had 4 kids, didn't do anything wrong, was not a violent person at all. So for us to lose him, it hurts so much. And if I didn't have what God put in me, where would I be? You know, like everybody's not going to bounce back or do the things that I did. So we just have to realize how the violence is affecting us. But it's not normal for me to lose my cousin and for my cousin's son to get killed. You know, this isn't normal. And I just applaud you for doing something different. And what I really applaud you for, especially, is how you really bring about diversity. I love the fact that you have everybody helping you. You know, $69 was the highest donation. That's President Obama numbers. You know, that's what he was doing. You know, his highest donor was $400 and $500, and he was raising millions. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, because we deal with a lot of people who are starting nonprofits. One thing I talk about is collaboration. I believe there should be way more collaboration and supporting organizations that are already fulfilling that mission. But 2, if people do want to have a nonprofit on their own, they got a distinct vision. What are some of the tips that you could give them to say, if you're going to do it, this is how you do it to make sure that you're really fulfilling that vision?
Yeah, just the way you do it. I mean, look at you right now. You can't cut any corners. You know, you have to you know, you can save 5 years by reading a book as well. I mean,
Absolutely.
there's books about how to have a good personality. There's books about how to have a good nonprofit. There's books about how to have a good podcast. And some people don't read them. You know, I guess they're too busy, I guess, you know, but I don't know any successful people that don't read, you know. And so and also I think that it's take it back to the Bible. It says that, you know, you whatever you sow, you shall reap. You know, if you plant spinach today, 6 months from now, you're not gonna get pumpkins. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you plant spinach, you're gonna get spinach, because that's how the laws work. Now, if you don't like the conditions of the spinach that comes up 6 months from now, who's to blame come harvest time? The person in the mirror. It's the same thing when it comes to your school work. If you don't like the conditions of your grades come up in June, who's to blame come graduation? You. And so I feel like when it comes to a nonprofit, the one thing I would do is do something. Like you can ask questions. What do you think I should? What do you start doing something? Because once you start doing something, I don't know how it works. I'm just telling you it works. The universe rewards you when you start doing something. So you want to be on the good side of the way things work. You don't want to always worry about how it works, but to get on the good side of the way things work, start. Like I always tell people, the way you get anything that you want is you have to ask, and that's it. Ask. Like, so you should look into that, right? You start. And so that's how you begin this whole journey, is you start, and you can't fail. Like Russell Simmons told me one time, I said, hey, I need a lot of money to start my organization. You know what he told me? He said, I'm not giving you no money, Jahmal. I said, why not? He said, because you don't need money. You're trying to help people. You're going to be successful. That's all. And he was right. Like if you're trying to help people, man, the universe rewards you for that. You just got to, like, when the tough times come, and they will, you can't be naive. Like every garden is going to be attacked. You can't be naive. When you start a social impact organization, you're going to go through some tribulations, but that's when you just got to stay focused and have faith. You have to have a lot of faith to start a nonprofit. So if you don't come, you can have a business plan, you can have a loan, you can have thousands of followers, but if you don't got no faith, man, you might as well stay at home. That's what I would say. So.
You gotta have faith for everything that you do, honestly. So let's talk about the beginning a little bit. So you said you started in 2010. You didn't incorporate. So I know people see you now. They see you on the news. They see you raising millions of dollars, and you make it look probably a little easy to people. But I'm sure it wasn't that easy when you started. So tell me about, how did you begin, and how did you begin to build that base?
I started selling books, self-published motivational books, downtown Chicago in front of Foot Locker on Adams and State. And you know, and people from Cook County Jail would read the book, and they would bring me into Cook County Jail and say, "Can you talk to the 18-year-olds?" And I'd get to the jail and say, "Oh no, not 18-year-olds. We meant AT. That's an acronym for automatic transfer. They're going downstate for 20+ years for these crimes. Will you talk to them?" So I just started. I mean, Chicago is segregated, but downtown between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, it's a confluence of people from the north side, south side, west side, over the east, and you can meet them. And so I was just selling books for $10 a pop in front of Foot Locker, and that would get me booked to speak at libraries all over the city. So, but it wasn't really no real money, right? But I just stayed at it. And then you know, I went to LegalZoom and I started a nonprofit, you know, at $600, $500. And then from there, you know, I started asking questions. Hey, will you join my board? People on the red line. Oh, you work at a bank? Oh, okay, you work at Urban Partnership? Hey, I'm starting a nonprofit. Hey, I met a lawyer. Hey, will you join my board? And then it's just getting people together, right? And that's how I started it.
So it sounds like a lot of hustle, a lot of resilience. You know, which I always tell people, you can't outrun the hustle in entrepreneurship and nonprofit. You still got to have the hustle in your heart.
Got to, man. Got to.
So let's talk about what you all doing now.
Yeah, right now we're gearing up for our Holiday Lights campaign. You know, every year we put holiday lights on King Drive from Cermak all the way to you know, from McCormick Place all the way to Roseland, 115th. There's kids on King Drive that haven't even seen a Christmas tree their whole life. Like they go to suburbs to go trick or treat. You know what I mean? I know kids that are if you drive down King Drive, you see a lot of helicopter lights and police car lights. We want kids to see holiday lights. So we want to interrupt that trauma that exists there and inspire some hope. So we decorate 500 homes for free with garland, wreaths, lights, you know, all that stuff. And we decorate 500 city poles as well. So it's people, you know, if you want to sign up and find out more information, go to our website, formyblock.org. You can sign up a house to get decorated. Regardless of where it's at in the city, we'll decorate it for free. We're kind of focused on King Drive, but we'll go anywhere. And if you want to help volunteer and hang some holiday lights and meet some neighbors, you can volunteer. That's what we're up to right now, is the holiday lights. And then next week, of course, we're thousands of meals we're giving out for Thanksgiving. You can sign up at our website, formyblock.org. We're delivering. I grew up homeless, so I know what it's like to eat Thanksgiving at the shelter and be embarrassed that your high school, peers are serving Thanksgiving dinner. I know what that's like, and so I don't want there to be people out there that don't got no food for Thanksgiving. We're gonna be delivering thousands of meals in Chatham, Little Village, North Lawndale, stuff like that.
So you grew up homeless. So we didn't talk about where you actually grew up. You just said you weren't from Chicago. So common thread that I see that's so unique about your organization, like you said, is you meet whatever the need is. Yeah. So you like that resiliency, and I think from a very fundamental level, a lot of people I've never seen anybody put up Christmas lights before. Like I've never heard an organization do that. And it seems simple, but it does mean so much, as far as getting people in the spirit, taking for granted that people can afford that, So talk about how your upbringing has really influenced the things that you're doing now.
Yeah, well, I'm from Waukegan, Illinois, right next to North Chicago. And, I didn't know a food stamp wasn't real money until I put one in a pop machine and broke it. And everybody laughed at me, and that made me want to steal. I come from a place where, my dad would steal us dinner at Jules, the parking lot. He'll come outside with a pack of hot dogs and an orange juice. And I say, Pops, you stole us dinner tonight. And he would look down and say, I ain't never stole nothing a day in my life, right? You got to understand, like, my role models are in jail right now for 80 years and 40 years. I went to an alternative high school. The first time I ever tasted lasagna was when I broke into someone's house. And I ate it, and I was like, oh, this is what it tastes like to be rich, right? I come up from, I could cry thinking about it. I grew up so, I didn't have a pair of basketball shorts growing up. Nothing, right? Nothing. And so I ate at the shelters, and I remember at the shelters looking at the porcelain plates and thinking, this is what overseas looks like, because they had the etchings of Italy or whatever. I never traveled. I never went on a vacation growing up, ever. Like, nothing like that. And so yeah, when you grow up like that, you're very resilient. I was very when I graduated, all my friends went to jail, and so I started volunteering at the jail because I felt like I didn't want to do this work. I wanted to be a rapper like everybody else I knew growing up. But once I started volunteering at the jail, I think God just spoke to me. And that when I got in there, a lot of the young guys were making the same excuses that I made. I was like, I remember when I thought like you. I remember when I thought the same thing. And God was just like, yo, you don't need no degree to do this work. You just have to be a positive role model. And so that's when I was 22 at the Cook County Jail, my life changed. And I knew this was going to be the direction I was going to walk in.
Wow. What age was that? Was that when you were selling the books?
Yep, selling books right downtown, 23 to about 27, just figuring it out. And I won the National Entrepreneur Competition for Toyota by selling books downtown. And they gave me like a brand new car, and they gave me $10,000 cash. And, somebody hit the car, and I got the cash and started my business. I was like, let me just do it this way. But like, to be honest with you, my dad was on drugs. And so, but he would always like do drugs and say, I don't ever want you doing drugs, Jahmal. But he would always get drugs from the young men on the block and mentor those guys and talk to them. And so he took me with him everywhere. So I was able to see, my dad's caring for these, just being a mentor. And yeah, so I don't know, man. I'm just following the demands of my instincts. I don't even know what I'm gonna do next week. I'm gonna help out. If somebody needed a kidney, I would get them a kidney. I'm that type of person that just tries to help out.
Yeah, following the demands of your instincts. I love that. I mean, it's just such an attestment. I can hear you are a man of faith to God, and the circumstances that you went through, how they were very traumatic, but just the impact that you've been able to have because of those experiences and the humility that it gave you. And like you said, just understanding from a very fundamental level. I think sometimes and I went to Northwestern, so I can speak very lofty, and we pontificate all of these solutions, but I grew up in Rosen too. I grew up in the streets. As I told you, I lost a lot of my family to the streets. So I think that sometimes we overcomplicate what needs to happen. And it really goes back to reaching out and actually being present in the community and reaching and supporting them on a very fundamental level. And I love that you do that, because I just feel like sometimes, people overcomplicate things for no reason at all. And like I said, as tragic as your background was, your dad still showed you, he was fighting. He might have been fighting his own demons, but he still shows you the leadership and what he wanted you to do and what you to be.
One thing he always did was play Malcolm X. And when I saw Malcolm X speaking, everybody else was watching Aladdin, and I was watching Malcolm X speak on a block with a beauty supply store in the back. So I didn't know what that meant, but I always wanted to be like that. I want people to, I want people to be like, take your time when I speak. I want people to like be passionate when I say something, you know. And so I was like, I want to do that. And so I thought it was about being a public speaker, but I realized quick it was about listening to people, because people know what they want, especially in Chicago. But I also would say this, man, is that if it wasn't for Barack Obama running for office and seeing that, you know, when I was 22, 23, that was what I wanted to be. I was like, man, I read both of his books, and I was like, he laid the pathway to it. He literally laid the pathway to doing things. And so I got to meet him a few times actually recently, and it was I went to the All-Star game with him. So it was in Chicago. Wow. It was crazy, right? It's amazing.
I want to be like you when I grow up, Jahmal. You done met President Obama and Russell Simmons, two of my Russell was the one who inspired me to be an entrepreneur. So I knew in high school I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I wanted to be like Russell. I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I said I want to do something cool like Russell Simmons. So I'm waiting to tell him that story so he could see that he sold it.
Hey, I went to college. I applied to one college in high school, and that was Howard University. And that was because Sean Puffy Combs went there. And you know, I paid $75 for that application. We didn't have that kind of money. I don't know how he found it. But I never heard anything back from Howard my whole senior year. And, you know, I went to my guidance counselor and said, hey, you know, I applied to college. I never heard anything back. She said, well, what's your plan B? I was like, Michigan University, of course. I'm going to the league. I'm about to be in the Fab Five. What you talking about? And she's like, well, sorry to break it to you, but you go to an alternative high school. You don't even come to school. You know, you don't have the grades. Go to a trade school. And long story long, you know, I stole a book from her desk and I ripped a page out of it. And it said Wayne State College, Nebraska. Lo and behold, they accepted people from alternative high schools, right? And you know, I took my acceptance letter around the hood. Mom, check it out. I got accepted to Wayne State. My mom was like, you going to college? What you trying to be white? You know, I took it to my friends. I said, yo, I got accepted to college. I got my jaw broke that summer. You think you better than us, right? And then I took it to my dad. You know, I said, Pops, I got accepted to Wayne State. I'm going to the league, Pop. You know, I'm about to buy us Cadillacs. And, you know, my dad stole a U-Haul truck and drove me to Nebraska. And before we got there, he told me, he said, Jahmal, about 6 months ago, I got the letter from Howard University in the mail. And, you know, it hurt me to see you going back and forth to the mailbox every day looking for it. But, you know, they didn't accept you. And, you know, I didn't show it to you because I knew it would have destroyed you. And it would have, man. It would have killed me. Because I didn't have to go to school. You know, if I went to school for 2 days in a row, my dad would be like, you going to school again today? I didn't have to. And so to know that they didn't accept me, oh, it would have just killed me. And so, but my dad didn't want me to be like my brothers and cousins, so he didn't show me. And I got to Nebraska, and it was good for me to be out there because it showed me how to separate, you know, immediate gratification from long-term rewards. And I got to learn how to study and stop making excuses. Is what I actually learned, because I was blaming everybody for my problems growing up. But I learned that I had to look myself in the mirror and take full responsibility for my actions. So.
You are, man, you are just such a testament. So with that, taking full responsibility, like I said, you know, Chicago, we got a lot of things going on right now. So what would you tell to a young Black man right now that, like you said, you had to make a choice. You had to make a decision. You did not grow up in a fancy environment. You did not have a lot of money. So you could have chose a different way. You could have chose the street. You could have chose the easy way. You got the hustle in you. You might have been successful at it, but, you know, you chose something different. So how do we encourage, you know, like you said, you out in the street, so you see, like you said, all the neighborhoods, all the hoods got different dynamics, different things going on. How do we reach them?
I would say to all the young men and women that are out there, that's in the field, that feel like they're in the trenches or that they're at war with the opposition, I love you. And I want y'all to hear those words loud and clear, because some of y'all, you know, y'all only hear those words in the quiet, right? We hear those words said by people that's dead and they're not with us no more. We hear those words whispered by our mom and sometimes our dad, but we don't hear it loud enough. We don't hear it regular enough. So, you know, I would tell people I love them. And I would also say, I want you to come about that I'm in the trenches mindset, or come about that I'm at war with the opposition mindset. You know, you about to be 18 years old. You can't be in the field forever. And the same field y'all talk about is like the NFL draft. Every year is new recruits coming to take y'all spot. And here's the thing I be telling people. In Chicago, if somebody didn't grow up on your block, or you like they're outsider, we real quick, you ain't from Chicago. You don't understand the struggles that I got. Please, like, white people don't respect two Black people arguing about whose struggle is more authentic, whose block is more run down, whose neighborhood is more like a jungle. Like I heard two dudes arguing the other day. One dude said, he said, man, I went to jail for selling dope. You went to jail for breaking into a gas station. I'd never do that. I got morals and standards. I'm like, yo, they laughing at us, bro. They laughing at us because you refuse to live up to your end. We've made it into a distinguished compliment to be a real nigga. Like, and so I tell people, yo, disappointments ain't reserved for you on 79th Street. Like you don't understand the problem. Disappointments ain't reserved for you over the East. It rains on people in the suburbs too. See, this is the thing. Is like, of course we get wet because we don't got the same umbrellas, whatever, but you ain't never gonna be dry if you stay in the trenches when it's raining, bro. Like we got to get up out that. I challenge people and just tell them the direct truth. Like disappointments ain't reserved for you, man. It rains on rich people too, and so that's the thing. Is like you have to. People say, you ask somebody, why does your neighborhood look like this? They say, oh, the city's messed up, the weather's messed up, all your philosophy is messed up, man. Like that philosophy is messed up. Instead of blaming stuff on other people, you can just ask yourself, what's something simple that I can do today that'll make a difference? Like that's the power, right? The discipline is the way to get over it, man. And so I'm all about studying effective communication and being blunt. So I love the challenge of actually, I ain't trying to impress you. I want to express so much, and when I leave, people are like, man, like he believes, because I've jumped. And so that's what I love doing.
But you got to be real to change people's perspective. You got to have them look at it from, like you said, like that's real. If we made it a compliment to be a real nigga. And I think that I talk to people about, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I talk about how a lot of times we don't express the struggle. So people just see the success. So people see the new car, they see the fancy backdrop, but they don't see the challenges. They don't see you worried at night on how you're going to pay your bills. Yep. And I think the same is true with the hustle. People, I'm coming out with my first book pretty soon. I'm going to talk about, part of the reason why I've been successful is because I come from a family of hustlers. But people don't talk about the struggles of a hustler. Like you said, you can't sell dope forever.
Nope.
I've seen it. I've seen a lot of things happen, but you generally only gonna end up. I mean, they say dead in jail, but it's broke, and that's true. And I think that just the same way we talk about entrepreneurs and how we got to be real about the real challenges that go on, and everything ain't pretty. It's the same thing with the hustle game. I tell people, show me 5 hustlers right now that you could say is still doing good at 60.
Nah, man.
They lose it. They lose it. They might be doing good at 30. They might be doing good for 5 or 10 years, maybe, but you're generally gonna lose it. You're losing it on the legal system, paying lawyers. You're losing it because you got locked up. You're losing it because you just took a loss, or you're losing your life. And it's really the truth of it. And I think that, like you said, we've amplified this, being real and doing all these different things, but we're not talking about the challenges. And at the end of the day, like I say, real killers cry every day. You could be a killer and somebody get killed, and what they doing, they still crying, they still mourning. So that's the way that everybody feels when this happened, and we just have to be real about it. I can talk about this all. I'm very passionate about it because it's the reality of our community, and it's like how do we change this? Like you said, because we got these facades on, and like I said, we talk about it in entrepreneurship all the time. And you can't just show your wins and not show your losses, but that's the same thing that people do in the streets every day. Man. They might be struggling, but they trying to act like they the best hustler. They trying to act like they got the most money, and they still struggling. They still don't have it. So, like I said, it takes people to be real, and it takes people to really, like I said, be out in the community and talking to them. So, I know I got to wrap it up because you are a very busy individual. Last 2 comments. I want to talk about the theme of this magazine. The theme of this edition is all about rebuilding Black Wall Street. So you've been able to see a lot. You've been doing this for 10 plus years. I've seen a rise in entrepreneurs. I've seen a rise in powerful organizations. And I want you to talk about, what do you feel like it'll really take specifically for Chicago to rebuild that Black Wall Street?
Yeah, I think we need to we have to hold ourselves accountable, man. Like, we spend so much dollars outside of 79th Street that it's unbelievable. Like if you look at the number 2 place where money is spent in Chicago besides downtown on Michigan Avenue is 26th Street and Little Village, right? That's the number 1 place for economic activity in Chicago. They make it a conscious effort to shop local, right? And so this is what I believe. As an entrepreneur, you can look at the numbers all you want, but this is it right here. Like, success is what you attract. It's not what you pursue. So you attract it by being attractive. Like, you gotta you gotta bring it to you. You gotta get out there and do more than, like, some people. Okay, there's a real quick story about 2 salespeople. One salesman looks outside. He says, "Man, it's raining real bad. With weather like this, The boss can't expect me to go outside and make sales, so he stays home. There's another salesman. He looks outside and says, man, it's raining real bad right now. You know what? With weather like this, what a great day to go outside and make sales. Everybody's going to be home, especially the salespeople. Especially, and see, and this is your perspective and how things work out. And it's the same thing in life. Because some students in high school right now in Chicago, they look outside and say, man, you know, the city messed up, the cops is messed up, the gangs is messed up, they're not going to go to college. But some people, they look outside and say, man, the cops is messed up, the schools is messed up, and they don't go to college, man. This is your perspective. And the way you stay safe in Chicago or anywhere, because let's be clear. Poverty in Chicago is upper class in some of the places I've been to in Africa. I've been to places that don't have police departments or this is the suburbs. Like listen, the way you stay safe in Chicago, it's simple, man. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's simple. The way you stay safe is to set goals. Like goals create a force field around you. I don't know how it works, but when you start writing things down specifically about when you want to do them, personal goals, family goals, when you write them down, the universe pulls you through it. Don't take the class about how it works. I don't know how it works, but if you're specific about what you want, that's how you stay safe. Goals tell you what to do and what not to do. And when you write them down, the universe brings it to you, man. Somebody should look into that. That's what I would tell them.
And you got to be specific about your goal, like you just said. More specific you are. I always tell people always want $1 million company, but what do you have to earn every month? What do you have to sell every week? What do you got to sell every day? Until you break that down, until you get very specific about it, there's nothing that you can do to change it. So you got to make sure that you actually have a very specific plan to take that action to do what you do. I'm gonna end it on how can we. So I want to talk a little bit. I'm sorry, really quick about this. So 2021, if we got anything big to look forward to, and also just how can people support you more? What do you look? Are you looking for more volunteers, more money, more partnership?
Yeah, I mean, you know, people can sign up to volunteer at formyblog.org. We're volunteering with block clubs every weekend. If you want to sign up and help hang some holiday lights, you can do that at formyblog.org. As far as like how you can get involved, we want to help you start block clubs. Like, we want to reimagine block clubs in Chicago. So if you want to get your block, if you want a block party, if you want a block club, if you want technology to stay more connected, we're helping people out to do just that. So to go to our website and sign up, because again, if there's 16 houses on one side of the street and 19 houses on the other side of the street, the more connected you are, the safer you are, man. The mayor doesn't demand that you get to know your neighbors, but if you want your block to be safer, you got to demand that of yourself. The aldermans don't demand that you pick up trash in your alley, but if you want there to be less rats born in your alley, you better demand that of yourself. So, you know, what's something simple you can do that'll make a positive impact in your block? I just came out with a book today, actually. This morning it came out. It's called What's Something Simple That I Can Do That'll Have a Positive Impact on My Block. It's available right now at formyblog.org. And I want y'all to grab a copy, man. Check it out. My story's in here about how I built the organization. What I've been doing through the rallies is in here, but it's about 150 pages, man, and it's a good read. So check it out. So
it's more about how you want to help more people, pretty much.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I want people to, instead of saying how can the government save us? No, what's something simple that you can do to get involved now, man? If you work in IT, can you build a website for a nonprofit? If you're a lawyer, can you do an expungement clinic in the hood? What's something simple you can do? Because if you start with the simple things, that's how you get muscle to take on bigger challenges, but you don't have the muscle yet to take on it. Everybody knows who's on Trump's cabinet. Don't nobody know who their next door neighbor is. So what's something simple you can do? I start right there on a block level. That's what I'm about.
What's something simple we can do? I love it. I love it. However we can help, whatever we can do to be a resource. Definitely go grab the book. Grab all your books. You've published several times, right?
Oh yeah, just about 7. I'm just
struggle with my friend. I gotta talk to you, Jahmal. Yes. I just applaud everything you're doing. I love it. And more people need to be like you. And like you said, I'm very much on that same level. It all starts with you. You cannot control anybody else, but you can control what you do. So if you don't see something that you don't like in your community, go out there, do something about it. Find out how you can be proactive and do something, Be more like Jahmal. That's going to be a campaign.
Hey, like Mike, I like to be like, I want to be. No, that's funny.
Thank you, Jahmal.
Have a good one. Peace. Thank you. Have a good one.